It's amazed me when I read in Genesis 39. Genesis 39. I was recently thinking about it also, Genesis 39. How Joseph, when he was tempted by Potiphar's wife, notice the answer he gave to Potiphar's wife when she said to him, Genesis 39, verse 7, lie with me. He refused. And he said in the last part of verse 9, how can I do this great evil and sin against God? Imagine a 19-year-old young man saying something like that, who has no Bible, and Jesus hasn't come, he doesn't know anything about Jesus Christ, no Holy Spirit dwelling in him, no fellowship, no meetings, no marriage seminars, no instructions to young people how to overcome temptations of sex. Today, people need to hear so many messages on overcoming sexual temptation. He didn't hear one. And he didn't have a Bible. He had a God-fearing father who told him a little bit, but that father was not here. It left him, he was sold away as a slave, and his family was far away in a heathen country, far away from relatives, friends. And he's not going after a woman, it's a woman coming after him. And you can see a lot of that today also. Women who will throw themselves at you. Imagine, maybe she was an attractive woman. Some attractive woman throws herself at you, and there's nobody you know around, and you're all alone in the room. And you're far away, and you got to admire this fellow Joseph. That taught me one thing. To overcome sexual temptation, you don't need the Bible. You don't need a church. You don't need to hear messages on how to overcome sexual temptation. You don't need fellowship. You don't need anything except the fear of God. What all excuses we make when we fall into sexual sin. Oh, I'm not filled with the Holy Spirit. Oh, brother, I was not careful. I wasn't reading the Bible enough. I wasn't attending the meetings enough. No, brother. Go to the root cause. You have no reverence for God. He wasn't there in your eyes. He was there watching you, but you ignored him. Every time we fall, even in our thoughts, in the sexual area, and I'm talking married people, you're working with women, I'll tell you this, if you're not faithful in this area, you will never have wisdom. You say, what's the connection between my talking flirtatiously and never touching a woman at my office, but just talking flirtatiously and having problems at home? You don't have fear of God there, and the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. And there in your office, you prove the whole day that you have no fear of God at all. Well, you're never going to get wisdom. You're never going to get wisdom to run your home. You're never going to get wisdom to have a happy marriage. Because it's wisdom that builds the house. So how shall we start? The fear of the Lord. Reverence for God. Like that brother Lawrence wrote a book on the practice of the presence of God. Lord, you're here. You, Lord, you see me all the time. You see me all the time. You're watching over me. You're here right now. I can't afford to sin. How can I? What a question. How can I commit this sin against God? Do you read some of these Old Testament people and find them put you to shame? Have you ever said such words in any situation in your life? Have you said these words of Joseph's? How can I commit this sin against God? Can you think of any situation where you were all alone and you could have easily sinned, maybe sexual area or any other area, and the only thing that held you back from sinning was, how can I sin against God? I will not lose my testimony, I will not lose anything, but how can I sin against God? And here, he had a lot to gain. He could have pleased his master's wife and got promotions and all types of things. He's willing to lose all that. Imagine just the fear of God. So there's one thing that Jacob taught Joseph, to fear God, and that's the thing that helped him. That's a great thing that we need to teach our children. Like it says in Psalm 34. By the way, this is a psalm written by David before he became king. It says that in the top, when he feigned madness. That means before he was 30 years old. Here's a 28-year-old young unmarried man, David. He wrote it when he was maybe 28, definitely less than 30. Psalm 34, verse 11. Come, you children, listen to me. I will teach you the fear of the Lord. Who is the man who desires long life, that he may say good days? Keep your tongue from evil. Verse 14. Seek peace and pursue it, because the eyes of the Lord are toward the righteous. Come, you children, verse 11. I will teach you the fear of the Lord. Boy, I wish we had some 28-year-old young men and women in our church who could say to others, come, my brothers and sisters, I will teach you the fear of the Lord. This is David, who had no New Testament, just a few books of the Old Testament. No Holy Spirit dwelling within him. But he had learned the fear of the Lord. Of course, later on he backslid. It's usually what happens when people become rich. Have you noticed in your life, in the days when you were poor, struggling, you had more fear of God? Now you become rich with plenty of money, the fear of God gradually departs. I have seen it universally. It's a very sad thing that happened to David. That's why he completely lost the fear of the Lord. Later on, married 8 wives, and I don't know how many concubines he had, and sinned with Bathsheba and killed her husband and all that. But in the beginning, I've seen young people like this, God-fearing. As they grow up, they become backsliders. It need not be like that. In the New Testament, we can go from glory to glory to glory to glory. The path of the righteous to shine more and more until the perfect day.